The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing.
Hello everyone, my name is Don, and today I will not make this a secret that this game, this masterpiece that's called Castlevania Symphony of the Night is perhaps one of my favorite games of all time. In fact, I think this game is my favorite game of all time. It's a close tie between this, Chrono Trigger, Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and Final Fantasy VI, but this game, Symphony of the Night, is beyond anything you can possibly imagine. Journey back to 1792 in the Transylvania countryside of Romania. Oh, that's right, Nocturne. Castlevania Nocturne came out like last week on Netflix. I still gotta watch that. Gameplay section takes us back to the end of Rondo of Blood, which is known as Dracula X in Japan, but for some reason this level is called Bloodlines. Well, which game am I playing here? Only one of the greatest games of all time, of course. We start out as the world-renowned warrior Richter Belmont, the last person in this time frame to defeat Count Dracula. A lot of the moveset from Rondo is here in spades, but Richter has a bunch of new moves at his disposal, like the slide dash. By holding down and pressing the jump button, Richter will slide. You can jump out of the slide by pressing the jump button again. By doing that, the resulting dropkick will actually damage enemies. Richter can also twirl Vampire Killer much like Simon could in Super Castlevania, except the twirling here is much more obviously stiff.
Dracula, die now and leave this world. You'll never belong here.
Oh, but this world invited me. Your own kind called me forth with praise and tribute.
Tribute? You're a thief. You steal men's souls, their freedom.
Freedom is always sacrificed to faith, good hunter. Or are you truly here by choice?
All I'm here for is you. To hell with your heresy! You're nothing but a blight on mankind.
Ha! Mankind. A cesspit of hatred and lies. Fight for them, and die for their sins!
Oh, you didn't say the line. How could you not say the line? Yes, I'm playing the PSP version, which I think is just a PS4 version. I'm playing it on PS4, but yeah, redubbed. No Robert Belgrade as Alucard. I'm kind of sad about that because he was a really good Alucard. Love that voice. It's Yuri Lowenthal as Alucard in this redub, and he's a good voice actor. I like him as Spider-Man and Sasuke from Naruto. But there's something with the reverberation and echo in this game. Symphony of the Night uses that a lot, and that kind of makes Yuri's voice weird as opposed to Robert's.
Count Dracula had risen with the aid of the Dark Priest Shaft to menace humanity once again. The legendary vampire hunter, Richter Belmont, stood against him and at last brought him down. However, 4 years later, on a glaring full moon night, Richter mysteriously vanished. Maria Renard set out to find him, but knew not where to begin. It was then that fate intervened. Castlevania, the Castle of Dracula, rumored to appear once every century, suddenly materialized from the mist, as if to show her the way. Meanwhile, powerful forces struggled for the soul of a man named Alucard. He who had once fought alongside Trevor Belmont against his own immortal father, Count Dracula himself. To purge the world of his own cursed bloodline, Alucard had submerged his vampiric powers and fallen into what was meant to be eternal slumber. But now, he awakens to the cackles of evil and cries of the innocent. The eternal battle of good and evil has come full circle once more. Dracula's castle beckons for you. And no man can say who will emerge victorious.
So I didn't go over the boss because it happened that quickly, but it's more or less the same thing as Rondo of Blood, which that itself is the same thing as the original final boss of Castlevania. What you need to know is that Alucard's stats will change depending on how well you do against the boss. You take damage, then Alucard's stats will kind of suffer. You deal with Dracula and take no hits, then you're pretty much golden. It's not a huge noticeable difference or decrease or debuff. It's not like if you die to Dracula, then all of a sudden the game is in hard mode. And that's another thing, you can't actually die to Dracula in that first part of the game. If you lose the fight to Dracula, then Maria just comes to save you so you can get another shot. But of course, Alucard's stats will decrease, so yeah. This wouldn't be a Castlevania game without the dramatic pauses, and Symphony of the Night makes liberal use of that because you can actually level up in this game. This is the first true Metroidvania of the series, and you might say Simon's Quest was back in 1988, but not quite. It was trying, but it was more of an adventure game as opposed to a Metroid-style game. Look, I leveled up already. And with this game being as popular and beloved as it was, we got other games in recent times trying to be like Symphony of the Night, but not quite. Well, we came close. We came close. Sort of. But you just can't be Symphony of the Night. There was Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, which was made by the same creator, and I think even Robert Belgrave voiced one of the characters. But it's still not Symphony of the Night. I'm pretty sure nothing on this planet will ever top Symphony of the Night. Guaranteed. Nothing at all. Now, there is a way you can bypass death and keep all of your equipment, but I'm not sure how you can actually do that.
Alucard, what is your business here?
I've come to put an end to this.
Ever the insolent boy. But there will be no games here. If you will not behave, be gone.
I will do neither. Step aside, old man.
Such arrogance. Very well. But I shall see you very soon.
You just took the clothes right off of my back. Come on, Grim. But yeah, if you hadn't done that, the game would be too easy. The reason being I was one-shotting any and every enemy up to this point, and would continue to do so for a significant portion of the game. Until like maybe Olrox's quarters or something, I don't know. But still. And now that I think about it, this game is relatively easy compared to most other Castlevania games. And even easier than Circle of the Moon. I remember Circle of the Moon gets really tough at points. I still like that game, but Circle of the Moon does have its weirdness about it. This skeleton here will grant you your first weapon, the short sword, which is pretty pathetic, but then again it's the first weapon of the game. Your bare fists, believe it or not, will do more damage in a shorter time frame compared to the sword. It's a weird flaw with the animations, but you can actually punch enemies twice with one punch depending on how close you are to them. It's definitely a quirky method of attack, but your bare fists are probably the best weapon for the early game. And that's me demonstrating the Hellfire attack, which is really just Alucard mimicking off of Dracula. Come on, get your own abilities, man! The button combination for the move is kind of like a Street Fighter input. It's up, down, down right, and then attack. And for the Dark Inferno technique, which is the two meteorites, you have to hold up during the teleportation animation. And And I will put up a hint guide on screen too for any other techniques I show off. Anyway, that was the Cube of Zoe. It spawns hearts. And that's all it really does. Hearts are pretty much the same as any other Castlevania game. They serve as ammunition for your sub-weapons, which Alucard does not have for the time being because he's kind of a broke bitch at the moment, but we're gonna solve that problem. We got a lot of bone enemies in the alchemy laboratories, mainly the blood skeletons who like to regenerate after you take them down. They made their first appearance in Dracula's Curse, the third Castlevania game, but ever since that title, the blood skeletons have been a staple of the series. These guys have shown up in Castlevania 4, Bloodlines, Chronicles. I don't even know what that shockwave was. No, honestly, I don't even know what that shockwave was. I just found that out by surprise. Actually, no, I just used the neutron bomb, which is weird because I don't even remember equipping the neutron bomb, but I just... Okay. I'm learning new shit every day. This is one of those games where I nearly been playing it for as long as it's been out, but I still find out new stuff about it. One example being that this game was also released on the Sega Saturn, but only in Japan. And that version also has its own differences and unique areas too. I think there's 3 areas added to the Saturn version. And there are also some musical tracks that make a return too, like I think there's a remix of Vampire Killer that's really awesome and epic and sweet. But the Saturn version does have its faults. It's not as powerful as a PlayStation, so there's going to be longer load times. And graphics, if you care about that, are slightly worse on the Saturn. It's nothing too outrageous, but natural lights on the PlayStation are done with a dithering effect on the Saturn. The same thing goes for Alucard's afterimage that follows him. They look different between versions. You're probably better off looking at a side-by-side comparison between the 2 versions because I don't have the Saturn version. Hell, I don't even have a Saturn. Okay, real question. Did you know or do you know anybody that ever had a Sega Saturn before in their lives? Because I've never seen a Sega Saturn, or I don't even know anybody that has the thing. Had an N64 growing up. I had a couple of friends that had an N64 too. My cousin had this game with the PlayStation, so that's how I know about this game. Hell, I even know friends with a 32X and a Jaguar. But not a Sega Saturn. That seems to be more rare nowadays. And apparently expensive, so I know not to buy that any time in my life. Jeez. An axe I'm definitely gonna need for the next room. And this blue glowing door I cannot go through just yet. Magically sealed. Gonna walk back out to the tower area, hang left here so you don't fall all the way down, then just go back up the tower. Oh, what a pleasant surprise. It's Gaibon and Slakura. Believe it or not, these guys are nowhere near as challenging as they were in Castlevania 4. Or actually, I take it back, they can be challenging on your first playthrough, just because you're dealing with 2 of them, but if you use the Hellfire technique, or more specifically the Dark Inferno technique, you could just take these guys down really quickly. Slakura down in record time and just have to deal with Gaibon next. And with the axes, he's pretty much mincemeat. Alucard is that much of a dick to punch people in the dick. Because he's a dick! And that boss fight is really just catharsis on my part because I destroyed Slakura in like 2 seconds. And I didn't even get hit by him. Remember Castlevania 4 where he's pretty much a pain in the ass? No longer will Slakura be a pain in the ass just because of constricted movement. What? Constricted movement. Holy shit. These guys right here are pretty cool. They're called Bloody Zombies and they get their names for a reason. And that T rating's only a suggestion, by the way. You're probably gonna hear me say that a lot about this game. The H rating is only a suggestion. Oh! Stupid death sounds in this game. I love it. That just seems to be a thing for any Metroidvania game released. Stupid death sounds for any enemy that dies. Bloodstained did it, and it did it pretty spectacularly too. Hey! Ooh! Damn, that game was so much fun. Grim Guardians, I think, had weird, crazy noises, but then again, the whole premise is crazy considering it's a freaking Galgun spinoff. Blaster Master Zero, also from NT Crates, I think played it straight and did not have any crazy enemy noises. But then again, that was more of a Metroid-style adventure as opposed to a Castlevania-style adventure, so maybe it's different that way. Yeah, it's different that way. Metroid, serious and grim. Castlevania, goofy and grim. Wait a minute. Okay, the axe armors don't sound nearly as goofy as the bloody zombies. Anyway, that's going to be it for part 1 of Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Stay tuned for part 2. And the rest of October, because I'm really looking forward to this month.